What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another day of insanity in NBA basketball. Um, we know that it's going to be wild. We know there's going to be stuff going on, but we're going to do our best. You know, we Sheets. Not that it was a massive troll game, but I just want to start off with you did mention that it would be at least a troll game. It wasn't like he put up a huge number, but Shake Milton, I certainly could have used those 30 fantasy points the night before at 4,600 as opposed or 4,300 as opposed to one night later, and you nailed it. And he wasn't starting this time, and he was before, so you were right about the troll game. We got some other things right. You know, Giannis had a good, or we talked a little bit about Giannis. I came away from Embiid, which was good, but not good enough. Sheets, how did you do? And then what are we going to do on this slate?
Not good enough. That's my. I took a shot. I was good with Kemba, but I thought that Booker would have a better game, so I overpaid for Booker. That was the source of my losses. Just leave it at that. And also the Najee Marshall did not exactly work out so good.
It didn't work out at all. But you know what? The minutes were there early, yeah. And then he played poorly, and then they got blown out. So actually, in a funny way, I felt okay with the play because it showed me they were going to play him more in a close game, and I didn't expect them to lose by 35. Anyway. So
I'm pretty prepared. I have like my list of like values and also like the spends and I have FanDuel ready also, and I also have ready to go game by game as well. So we could, and then so it looks like there's good value at center. It looks like there's some good value at point guard that we have to talk about on DraftKings, and then we'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, I'm going to I'm ready as well. Let's pull up your screen and let's go game by game on and we'll start with DraftKings, and then we can mention FanDuel at the end if that works for you.
So let's just start off with Brandon Goodwin, right? So Miami against Atlanta. Trae Young is out. Brandon Goodwin's going to be starting, and he's going to rate to be a very, very good value at 3,400, as most starting point guards who are going to play 30 minutes tend to do. So there's him. That's one that we're going to throw in there. We'll get to Armani Brooks later. Very not exactly the same, but as far as price goes. And we'll get to NATO, whatever it is. But this is we're starting with this one. So Brandon Goodwin. Certainly, looks like a good play. 30 minutes, at 30 minutes, point guard, I don't really care who they're playing. I mean, it's going to probably show up to be a decent value. I do have recollections of him busting. I don't exactly remember when, but I do have recollections of him busting in the spot.
It happened.
It did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how our ownership comes in. We'll see what other options are. Be certain for now rates to be a very, very strong value. The only other thing I had interested in this game was actually maybe Jimmy Butler. Aside from that, I'm kind of off of this game.
So you kind of surprised me a little bit because I will absolutely take shots on Lou Williams here.
Oh, how about that?
I don't mind it. I know that we haven't seen like the monster things. First of all, he's been pretty good every night, even when Trae's playing. Like, it's not like he's like killing you at this price. I'll take a shot here. They're going to be in trouble in this game. This is a tough matchup for them. They're going to need somebody who can score and not just walk and bring the ball up like Goodwin.
What about Bogdan then?
Well, Bogdan is definitely, but it's just a price thing. He can definitely get you 45 or he can get 50 plus here, but I don't know that that's like a great play. I think Lou Williams getting you 35 is on the table. So I'm going to take a shot with him. I actually think you can play some of him and Goodwin together, but I think that if you're going to play him, you probably would want those separate. But You don't have to. And if Capella's out, just smash the Bam Adebayo button. If Capella's in, probably leave Bam Adebayo alone. Capella's had one of the most underrated seasons of any player in basketball. He's been an absolute juggernaut defensively. He's been absolutely awesome. Efficient, awesome offensively. He, what is he, 15 and a half and 14 and a half per game. Second in block. Is he first in blocks? Is he first in blocks and rebounds? He's right there with Gobert. I don't know who's in first and second, but he's right there. He's a monster, and if he's out, that's going to open up probably a Kongwu or John Collins. Now, John Collins is the other one in this game. I don't want to overtalk everything, but without Trae, there's a chance we could see Collins get a minutes bump. If we get a no minutes restriction on Collins without Trae, this could be, you know, somewhere between a 40 and a 60 fantasy point kind of performance you could get out of Collins. So all on the list. We have to see about what happens with Capella and Gallinari, which, by the way, would also add to John Collins becoming an even better play. But mostly it's going to be Bam if no Capella, and then somewhere between Lou Williams and Brandon Goodwin until we hear about 500 players resting or something. Next game?
Boston, Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
So they already announced last night that I think that Kemba was going to sit today. And with him and Jaylen Brown out, I presume Jaylen Brown remains out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Marcus Smart and you have Jason Tatum. I think they're both really, really strong plays. And Tristan Thompson is playing the minutes, man. He's played 35 minutes last night, 33 minutes the night before. And Brooklyn's big man, DeAndre Jordan, is nothing to be afraid of, really. So I like Tristan Thompson. I like Tatum. I like Smart. And then I like Kyrie. And I think that you could do a little mini stack with that set of horses, so to speak.
Yeah, so I think we get KD to play tonight. Am I crazy? I think KD is definitely in play.
Okay.
And I've been waiting for a while. We had this happen earlier in the year when he was sort of coming back along. They've been doing this sort of. He's not a guy who's like. It's like not natural for him to play these 24 minutes. He just has never been that guy in his career.
Right.
And they've been trying to bring him back slowly, and they rested him on the back-to-back, and then they played him 30 minutes the other night. I don't know, man. You might see like 32, 34 at 9K. I think this might be like, that could end up being like a complete steal price. So I prefer him to Kyrie.
The only other problem, by the way, playing Kyrie is that like then you get like a just incredible play at shooting guard in Paul George later.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll get into that, but I'm less interested in Thompson.
Okay.
I actually think there's a chance this game could go a little bit smaller. Why does Brooklyn need to play DeAndre Jordan at all?
Right.
Like even a minute. By the way, it's really weird that DeAndre Jordan was he owned at the other day, or on 420 when we did their show. I think he ended up like 60% in the big one.
He did.
And he ended up doing nothing. And then of course on the back-to-back the next night he puts up 26, which would have, not like huge, but yeah, I think I'm probably out on Jordan. I might change my mind later, but I have to try and figure that one out. I'm interested in just trying to figure out what to do with this backcourt because Romeo Langford's going to play a ton of minutes. Now he doesn't do anything with those minutes, but he's too young for me just to say like that about. He was, a high pick of theirs. Against a team like Brooklyn at the minimum price, you got to at least have him on your list. And the same is true for Peyton Pritchard. I don't know what else to tell you with that one, but Romeo, like other than Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum, we're going to play a ton of minutes, and I'm probably not playing either of those guys. I'm leaning more towards Tatum, which is no shocker there. But I mean, like they need other guys to do stuff, even if Tatum goes crazy. And the other guy who, this is going to feel so gross. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. They've been playing Jabari Parker minutes without these guys. Is there a chance they let Jabari Parker play like 24 minutes? Because if he does, that's 30 fantasy points in my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about him a lot, about it being a really strong, point, per minute guy. He ain't shy.
It's pretty embarrassing for Boston that in the midst of trying to make a playoff push and desperately needing every piece and trying to go out there and find little pieces they could, Sacramento couldn't find a way to play Jabari Parker. And Boston now, who was like supposed to be a title contender, is playing Jabari Parker consistently. So just keep that. I do think Jabari Parker is a guy. We'll look back at the value later today. It's going to be a little bit hard this early to try and figure out the value because we just don't have all the info yet. All right, you want to move on to Cleveland, Charlotte?
Yeah. Cleveland, Charlotte. I have like two guys written down, but just kind of question mark. Just Sexton and Rozier. Maybe play a lineup with the two of those guys. And aside from that, I really didn't get to too much.
Yeah, I think Sexton is a really good play. He just sort of always gets there. It feels like it anyway. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to figure out what to do with Charlotte. I mean, by the way, I was really glad I ended up coming off of PJ Washington the other night. Whoa, that's what he does. He'll put up 5 fantasy points and he'll put up 45. Like,
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And then they fell back in love with Jalen McDaniels again. And I mean, they've sort of always loved him, but it's too high priced, obviously. I can't find anything I need to do here, Sheets. Depending on how the lineup shakes out, if they end up somehow starting a Martin, no, I just don't think that'll happen. I don't know. I can't find myself to get too excited about anybody here.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Here's a smash play, but could only give it 2.5 quarters. In fact, a couple smash plays who might only be 2.5 quarters.
All right, so let's start with Armani Brooks. So he's 3,600, and he's going to be so. How do you compare Armani Brooks to? This is the way I look at it. So you got Armani Brooks and Brandon Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless John Wall is sitting for some reason, I can't imagine Armani Brooks being the preferred play. You know, at least I know that isn't at least Goodwin starting a point guard. No,
Armani Brooks is starting.
Yeah, but if John Wall is playing,
I would bet you. I'll do a side bet that Armani Brooks plays more minutes than Brandon Goodwin does. It doesn't.
I'm not even thinking about the minutes. You know what I mean? It's just that Goodwin's going to have the basketball.
He didn't do anything with it anyway, so.
Okay.
I mean, that's not Goodwin's game. It's not like he's going to get you like a little bit through that, but you know, you try and find his game. That's when he made a few threes that he got there.
I'm just saying right now that
what you're saying is what everyone else will think, and I just think that Armani Brooks is a better play.
No, but what I was going to get at is that I would much prefer to play John Wall, and play him with Paul George, as opposed to.
Why can't you play both of them with Paul George?
I guess I could, but I just feel as though. I don't know why I think Brooks is just bad chalk. I don't know. I have no proof of that. He certainly rates to be a good player.
So when you wrote that to me about him starting, and I just noticed the news myself, I immediately jumped on the Armani Brooks play.
Okay.
And he's 3.7% owned in the big one, and he was terrific.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was terrific. But what's even better, what I liked.
Oh, he was terrible. He was terrible.
No, that's exactly right. That's what I liked even better. He was terrible and he was productive. That's what I want.
Well, however, though, remember that's us as DFS players. If a coach has him terrible, maybe he doesn't get that same run.
Well, in all fairness, they lost by like 40-something points that game, but he's been getting the same run every game, and he was starting that game. So his minutes projection before the game was like 34 too.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. There's a chance that he could get less run but the truth is that just happens if KJ Martin or Avery Bradley plays well and the game's close. Any of these guys could end up stealing that Armani run. And it looked like they were going to in the last game, but it just didn't end up happening. So yes, definitely less security. I do think that it's more security than you think it is, but I also think Brandon.
So you like him more than?
I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think we need to wait, because right now I'm not considering playing just one of them. I'm just going to play them both. Like, it's not.
Well, no, I'm going to ask you something else. So you like him more than Raul Neto?
Am I missing something? Oh yeah, Nato, I get why he would stand out because he's going to play all the minutes now. Well, Raul Neto is shooting guard eligible, but yes, I do like him better than Raul Neto.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good question. I don't know. It's a definitely worth thinking about.
And you don't like John Wall?
Jonathan Wall. I actually kind of do like the John Wall idea, and I'm definitely going to play Paul George. I also just want to mention, like, if you're going to get creative with it, the guy who's the best point per dollar per minute may end up being Rajon Rondo, depending on how the Clippers lineup shakes out. So
he was pretty active the other day.
Yeah, he looks like he's getting geared up, and I don't know. I could see Rondo having a good game. I'm open to the idea of. I want to see who else is in the lineup and how it shakes out if we can. I really don't know what's going to happen with the Clippers until after the game starts, and they don't probably either. It's very strange. But yeah, this is definitely the game you want to try and find your spots with. I just think we don't really know who's going to play yet.
And we like Paul George. I don't have anybody else on my list from the Clippers right now.
They're all fine-ish, but I don't have anybody else I need to play. The guy who I would play again if we did get like Rondo out, I sort of just like Terrence Mann as a player, and maybe it's swaying my belief about him, but I really feel like he's just a really good basketball player. And when he's going to play 30 plus minutes, he's going to find a way to get there. When he's in the 20s and stuff like that, and he's just in there for defense and it's all Kawhi and Paul George, it sort of skews his numbers. So he's actually more consistent in these situations than people think, but not if Reggie Jackson's healthy, not if Rondo plays. But if those two guys happen to be out or one of them happens to be out, you could look right back to Terrence Mann. And one of these days, Demarcus Cousins. Wait, hold on. Let's just go back for 1 second. Are we crazy for not playing Cousins here? Sheets, think about that.
Are we crazy for not playing Cousins going back to Houston?
Yeah. Like, look,
are they going to let him play?
I mean, what does he need to play in this game? If he plays 16, you know what his usage is still right near the top of the league. Like it's
right.
Crazy. 16 to 20 minutes, 16 minutes. What is that? 25 fantasy points, 22 fantasy points. Maybe if he plays 20 minutes they give him
not the worst. That's not the worst idea in the world.
I actually think that I mean, imagine this. Imagine we wake up and Cousins plays 24 minutes and scores 55 fantasy points. How the hell are we going to feel about ourselves for not taking it? It's like so on brand for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to give it a shot, I think.
I got to have a little.
Yeah. Got to at least take a shot there.
I got to have a little.
The problem is then this other guy who I actually had as a value that I think is way better of a play, and I'll throw away all the projections. This guy is averaging 28 fantasy points per game over the last 7 games, and he's 3,800. And his name is Daniel Gafford in this next game, along with Nato. So I have no earthly idea why his fantasy point projection is as low as it is. I think he should be projected to score around 27, 26 fantasy points. It's a good matchup on top of it. I think that I think his minutes are going to be more in the 20s than more often than not here. They played really well down the stretch with him the other night. This is something I would like to take advantage of. I did just mention the Cousins play. This is less wild cardy, where we know he's going to probably play at least 18 minutes. But then they're similar, like in terms of point per minute, just in a very different way. And the usage is how they get it. So Gafford, Bertans, and Neto all stand out. Obviously, Bertans stands out the most. But it is kind of weird that no one would have touched Bertans all year at this price. And because he makes, half of his threes over the last couple weeks, now he's the automatic chalk. And it really is just him making threes. So just be careful. Maybe he's not going to end up being chalked he probably won't be by the time the slate starts. But as of right now, he'll show up as being like one of the cash game plays you have to play. I'm not sure that when it starts, I like him more as a wild card, hoping he hits the threes, but not needing them for him to get you there. You know what I mean? And
what about the Westbrook?
You just play Westbrook. Just in my opinion, I'm just going to play Westbrook. I don't really have a whole lot else to say. He basically had the nut low game for how he can shoot and score the last 2 games, and he's put up 59 and 60. I don't know what we want from him. He's going back to OKC. Is that enough? They've got fans back in the arena. Most beloved player in their franchise history. He's going to.
This is my take on this. So I have the Washington guys ranked as follows. So I have Nato ranked very similarly to Goodwin and Brooks. I have Gafford up there. So if I have Gafford up there, I think he's going to be more popular than you think than you think.
I agree that he probably will be, but
but there's another center that people are going to play too. So we'll get to that. So Gafford, I like him a lot at 3,800. I think Bertans is just fine, but at some level, like you have Westbrook going back to OKC. It's going to just kind of take over whatever. Like how many Washington guys can play?
Well, they don't have to do much though. Westbrook.
That's true.
Westbrook. Don't forget, Westbrook gets his numbers not by what he does.
And the assists. Yeah, that's right.
This guy gets 1 million. He's the best assist guy in the NBA.
I would also say that if you were going to try to run this back with anybody from OKC, I would say, it might be a good play anyway, is if he plays, that Lou Dort is really on another level with respect to usage and being the man on his team. So I would definitely play him.
I don't know if I'm just going to hold off all my thoughts on Washington, on OKC until later, because I have no doubt that they're going to sit some people. I just don't know who they're going to be, and they don't. Maybe they know, maybe they don't. They change it every day. Maybe Svi is going to be the guy who goes out there and puts out 100 million fantasy points again. At a spot where he was supposed to play 24 minutes, played 37. It's going to be, we have to figure that one out. I don't really have a strong take on it any which way right now, but if we lose a couple guys, the only thing I'd say is that this would be a good spot to try and go after Poku. He got hurt in the last game, assuming that he does come back.
Yeah, I don't think Dort. I mean, Dort sat like the last week. I don't think he's gonna.
You don't think he would again, though?
I think he will. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no.
That's the thing. If he plays, that's like the only thing that I would.
Yeah, I hear you. And by the way, it gives you a nice little combo stack because you can play 2 or 3, like we mentioned, 2 or 3 of the Washington guys.
Yeah.
Denver, Golden State. This is the only reason why Westbrook won't be a complete lock for me tonight.
You can play Curry and Jokic together.
There you go. I mean, I can't go through. I know this matchup's happened, but and I know Jokic was only like semi-great with 58 fantasy points or whatever last time, but I don't know. It's an eye test and a real life thing. Like, I just don't see how he doesn't have a monster game here. I really don't, unless maybe blowout. But that shouldn't happen probably. Still playing for the MVP also, which I don't think should be that close of a race considering that Denver and Philly now have like the same record. But Philly just happens to be in first place because they're in the weak conference. Yeah, it's Jokic and Curry for me and nothing else from this game. And I don't know how I'm going to, I have Westbrook very high up there, but I think Curry is going to completely go nuts again. I really do.
How about this troll? Kent Faizmore in his last game played 35 minutes. He scored 52 fantasy points at 4,300.
Now he's out.
Then he's out for COVID protocols.
Yeah, he was nuts in that game against. I mean, look, when they play Washington, you kind of know that if you don't get somebody's gonna have to go nuts. He and Jordan Poole were like so.
We should probably think about that, right? So if he's out, I mean those minutes and usage has to go somewhere, right? Should we be?
Yeah, we do have to think about it. I think Jordan Poole is the natural guy you'd think of.
Okay.
Especially because Damian Lee is still out, right? Yeah. So I think we're gonna get Jordan Poole is gonna be the one. Poole, Curry. To be honest, what's really weird is it benefits Curry because Bazemore will just take it up on himself sometimes. You know what I mean? He is one of those guys. And I know he's been bad lately, but I'll just say that I think Draymond is a really strong play tonight too. I don't think I'm gonna end up getting to him just because it's not working out for me. I really like Jokic, Curry, and Westbrook, so it's kind of hard for me to look at Draymond. But I do think Draymond's a terrific play tonight.
You like Barton or MPJ or PJ Dozier? Any stuff from Denver?
Barton always plays well in these matchups. I'm fine with it. He's so hit or miss. It's really hard to get a feel for him, like in general, because he's just like such a heat check guy, which is kind of cool. But when he projects well, then he ends up like 20% owned. I'm like, what am I really doing playing this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's by the way, it's not all that different with MPJ used to be like that, but now he's more the consistent guy who's just probably priced a little too high to play in DFS for tournaments.
So if all that wasn't appealing to you and you didn't have enough fantasy points already, you can do this. So first of all, Yusuf Nurkic is going to be one of the, I imagine one of the more popular players on the slate. He's 5,200. He's
free.
Yeah, pretty much. So he's a really, really strong play. And then there's so if you want to play him, you could do whatever you want. You could play Morant on the other side if you want to play that. You could play Lillard at 9,500 at 4% ownership probably. That could actually be pretty interesting. You play him and Nurkic together, and then run it back with Morant, which nobody will have. Boy, oh boy, you could be rooting all by yourself at the end of that game. When do these games start? No, actually, Denver Golden State simultaneously. But even still, I'm just in full true DFS transparency. I'm having at least one of that. I will say that.
So I really like I really like the idea of taking a shot on Lillard here. They're desperate now. Like, I mean, look, if they might end up in they're on the borderline of ending up in the play-in game, and that they don't want none of that. So I don't know. I mean, not on the borderline, but they're getting close. And I think that this is a spot where you could see Dame try to take over. It's also a nice little rematch of last year's play-in game, where both Dame and Ja were very good, I believe. So I'm doing our MLB thing. I like that Sheets. I basically am just in exactly the same page as you. I don't really have anything else to
Okay.
add.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want to?
Let's talk real quick about FanDuel.
Yeah. So I actually made I actually did my list of stuff. So let me just. Oh, where is it? Crap. Let me just go to NBA.
Yeah,
sorry, I wasn't
No,
prepared.
that's all right. That's all right.
But we could start. I mean,
Yeah, I'll do it in 1 second. I'm just loading our last.
And I have my guys. So at point guard, my 4 guys. I have my value guy is NATO. This is on FanDuel, and then and then the 3 spends are Westbrook, Kyrie, and Curry. And I actually am not sure which one I prefer the most. So that's where I'll leave that for now.
Yeah, I'm not playing NATO, but I agree with everything else you said. That's where I'm at. I mean, my guys, no, I mean, look, Curry, Lillard, and Westbrook are going to be in my lineups. I don't really, that's it.
All right. At shooting guard, for me, I think I have Westbrook is not Westbrook. Paul George is sort of a lock. And then I have Beal. Oh, Armani Brooks is shooting guard eligible on Houston on here, so we got to consider that. And then I also had Marcus Smart. Let me see what Brooks looks like over here. Yeah, he's 4,200 over here. That's something that people might forget. So our Armani Brooks over there, as well as I said, Paul George, and probably what is Marcus Smart over here that is coming up for me. Wow, it's expensive. Maybe I won't get the Smart. So for me, it'd be Paul George and maybe Armani Brooks.
Yeah, I think Armani Brooks, Paul George. I think Kevin Huerter's okay at 5,400. You know, you sort of need this position, and CJ's too cheap, so I don't mind CJ at 78 here. Not too cheap, but he's fine. Those are the guys I'm looking at. This is maybe the weakest this position's been, which of course means we're going to get like the best value of the slate later on today at this position. Yeah, PG and Brooks are where I'm starting.
Small forward, my favorite play is Michael Porter Jr. And then it gets a little weird. I don't really like too much cheap, so I just threw in Butler just for nothing else to do. But same comment that if Dort plays, I would play him.
I'll go back to Kevin Durant here, and Jimmy Butler, and Bogdanovich a little bit better over here. I actually like Bogdanovich better than Porter. That's all I got, really. Kelly Oubre should see a better role tonight. He's a little pricey over here, but I think he's still affordable on DraftKings. You can still
over here, 7,000 or something.
68. They haven't been starting him, but I don't know what they'll do tonight. Yeah, how do we have another ugly position? This is another one that's going to open up though too later on.
I have a question for you. You dismissed this pretty quickly. We're talking about DraftKings. Why are you not playing Smart or Tatum?
I said I like Tatum a little bit. I just
I thought you said I'm not playing either of them.
I'm not. I see the spend ups as being Westbrook.
Oh, okay.
Curry. You have Curry at 300 more, and sort of must win type of situation. And for a guy who's been at 60 plus every game. Now Tatum, not that he can't absolutely do that, like especially without the other guys, but I just don't feel as sure, I guess, as I do about Westbrook. And in fact, even with the Curry thing, I'm saying, Curry doesn't usually have 2 struggling games in a row, by the way. He was really bad in that last game. But he, still, if he makes 40% of his shots, he has 60 fantasy points or 55 fantasy points, whatever. That's the reason. It's just the other spend ups being basically the same price or close enough to the same price where I just decided to go that route. But I think that your point is it's still I should take it because I think that I probably did dismiss Tatum a little too quickly.
Power forward really stinks.
Does it?
Yeah, I think it does. aside from Tatum, I don't know what to do. Bertans,
Tatum, Bertans, and Tillman.
Aaron Gordon.
Maybe Juan Toscano Anderson now.
Ooh.
If he plays without, he's another one that could benefit from the lack of what's his name not being there, Faizmore. Yeah, I have, and then Xavier Tillman.
Okay. Christian Wood.
Tons of minutes. Poku.
Okay.
I actually like the Poku over here. 4,800. I can get behind that. See, they got the right idea where they made Daniel Gafford 5,300. They see what's happening with Daniel Gafford lately. I wish Brandon Clark was playing any more minutes because he would be like an awesome tournament play, but we're just not getting the minutes out of him we need.
At center, if you don't play Jokic, I like the value over here a little better. I prefer Olynyk to Nurkic over here. Olynyk is 5,200 compared to Nurkic is 58. I prefer both of them to Thompson. So for me, it would be Olynyk is probably my preferred center.
Yeah, I agree with exactly what you said. The only thing I would add is that there's two things. I can't get over this. I know he never. I'm not playing him. I just talk about him every time. I can't understand what's happened to Jarrett Allen's fantasy production. I really can't. I see 6,500 and my eyes kind of light up against Charlotte, but I don't know. I'll just throw back in that one thing is a counterplay would be Bam. I wouldn't play Tristan Thompson. I think that'd be a big mistake, to be honest with you.
Okay.
On a one center site, the reason being that I think Olynyk and Nurkic both have like legitimate 40 to 50 fantasy plus point upside. I mean, we've seen it before. Tristan Thompson really doesn't. Like, he basically hasn't been there in years, and regardless of situation. So, but the other guy I would mention is Bam if there's no Capella. That's the only other one.
Is there a good 100 over in the NBA too on FanDuel? Let me see.
No, it's just the five. They're nonsense.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
If I don't know if I'm going to be available at 6. If so, I'll let you know before 5:30.
Oh yeah, whenever. But sounds good. Good luck to everybody. Sheets. Good luck, man. Good stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys at the top of the leaderboard.
All right. See you later.